Hello and welcome to Weekly Open. My name is Brian Krogsgaard. I am here with Crypto Cred, Josh Olszewicz, and Don Alt. And this episode of Weekly Open is brought to you by Blockfolio. Go to weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio. Start trading there today. You can do direct swaps from one cryptocurrency to another, all with Blockfolio. It's super easy and handy. Great interface. Mobile only. Super straightforward. I've made my first trades with Blockfolio. Sent and received coins. It's awesome. Go to weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio to try it today. Fellas, what's up? Cred, how you doing, buddy?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Don, how's it going, bud?
Good.
Joshua?
Yeah, sometimes you just got to roll with the punches. I think that's a great metaphor for life.
That's right.
Sometimes you're not awake for stuff like this, and sometimes you are. So it is what it is,
Yep. We're sitting here. Don, you've got your XBT chart up. What the heck did we do overnight?
I mean, we've just for the first time in a long time, we've actually turned support into resistance
With that little lower high?
Yeah. So kind of went high, broke below it, and then retested, broke down, and now we're going into daily support basically. Washed out everyone below it, and as long as that holds, I think it's still good. If that fails, I think we're just gonna go to weekly support, which is quite a bit lower. But then again, like you'd expect this to hold in a market like this. So that's kind of my view on the market right now.
What's the top to bottom move so far?
Top to bottom, 18%. So, I mean, the numbers are insane, right? When you're looking at it, minus 11K, that's pretty nuts. I mean, considering that we were trading at 4K just a while ago, but still like 20% pullback is too much yet. But yeah, as long as support holds, I'm gonna assume everything is good.
I was gonna say the Kraken market maker must be asleep with Luke because that ETH move. I don't even have bids that low for ETH. Like we breached the 200-day moving average on the Kraken chart.
It wicked directly to the 200-day simple moving average, which obviously all that means is that the regular moving averages are better than the exponential moving averages, which is a conversation Cred or Don could give two craps about, but Josh and I can argue over.
No, I mean, I don't mind moving average in the bull market. I don't like moving averages when it's ranging, but in the bull market, it's better than most things, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it just gives people, rational places that others look to try to find support. And, sometimes they do level out with real levels. But, well, I mean, what we see there is just liquidity issues on centralized exchanges, which is impressive of Kraken. They're not alone. Like, what were the other ones that people were freaking out about? Some of the leverage spots were just insane.
Yeah, I mean, even when you're looking at the ones that didn't really like mega wick, this is still quite insane, right? BitMEX traded down to 47, and then you've had a bunch of others. I mean, Binance too. Binance kind of locked up. FTX had a bunch of issues, I think, and I mean, it's just is what it is, right? Every time we get like a larger move, the exchanges start having trouble recently.
Yeah. And ETH gas fees are through the roof. I saw like a 500 Guai or whatever it is, top fee going around. I don't know what it is right now, but so it's not like, it's not like centralized exchanges are any worse than decentralized, considering what you have to pay if you actually want to trade this. Like, if you want to trade this, like I trade this on centralized exchanges, you're paying so much money just to do basic stuff, let alone interact with contracts. I would faint at the cost at which the complex ETH stuff is.
Oh, I tried moving the Ledger and Kobe Enterprises treasury to Ethereum already, and the approval for USDC was like $50-something and has been pending for hours. Even at that rate. Like normally, to put that in perspective, a normal token approval on ETH, even with our new paradigm gas fees, should be like $10 at most. I mean, so Ethereum is just totally done for right now. And I think what's happening is, all those people that are leveraged through Compound and Aave and those types of things, like they're having to be forced liquidated or refreshing their stuff, like because they were multi-levered and all this crap. It's just a total nightmare. And so everything's totally screwed.
Yeah, now on a 20% dip, right? I mean, ETH dipped a little bit more, I think. Yeah, but still, it's kind of crazy, right?
It terrifies you. What's going to happen when they get like a 50% dip in short order,
Yeah. I mean, if it doesn't work at 25 and people are already getting licked, right? I mean, when you're getting like large licks, if it dips further than that, it gets really scary. So, I mean, that's basically what the all-time high is going to be, where it's going to come in, right? If you get like a massive dip and that breaks, which, I mean, fingers crossed it won't, but if it does, I'd be scared to kind of be stuck on the network, basically. I'd much rather be on a centralized exchange at that point.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, somebody was saying this week that they view the ETH gas fees as like the VIX for crypto. So like when people get spooked, like the VIX spikes and like the ETH gas fees spike because it's a mad dash for the exit, right? And yeah, we were over leveraged. Funding was insane. All the usual stuff, right?
Yeah. Cred, what are your thoughts on like the broader market structure? Because, you go up however many multiples, 20% doesn't look like a ton, but it's still, it's a big move. So what's it like? How do you read into this?
The more the quicker you go up, the less market structure you have to work with, close to price typically, unless you look at lower time frames or give it time and space to develop, which makes it tricky. So whenever these mass liquidation events happen, which is like, I think it's, if my stuff works properly, it's like 2.6 billion in longs today, which is kind of crazy. When those sorts of events happen, beyond just market structure, I kind of look at what happens after the licks. What kind of bounce do we get? Does anyone sell into it? How do intraday levels hold up? All of that sort of stuff. So I share most of the Duck's conclusions as the high time frame structure. Like as long as basically the pre-breakout point is intact, you survived. But I don't tend to position immediately after that sort of stuff. I kind of just let it settle a bit, see where the low time frames are gearing towards, if you will, and then kind of go from there. So yeah, I just need a bit more to work with, but nothing disastrous quite yet. I've got like, same with the Dark, like 51, 52 as the base before this most recent leg up all the way to 58. The current price action doesn't give a whole ton of hints given how overextended it went. Just way through it, closed way above it. I mean, if you're a 4-hour candlestick trader, have fun. But I'd just be keen to see how that structure holds up for kind of the rest of the day or whatever. So yeah, Duck's got it right there on the screen. That literally that box. You can see on the intraday time frame. It's on the 4-hour. It's pretty clear as well. So I'm just going to see what's up. If the market wants to push back into it, I'll probably play it for a bounce. If not, then please go up.
If the market pushes into the bottom one, you'd play it for the bounce up?
Yeah, like into Doug's green box, there's probably a bounce play for me there if it sets up appropriately, barring something disastrous. I play those types of setups a lot, where I have a structure I really want to trade, and then the market like comes in. Let's say it's a support, right? Market comes in. I mean, this is an exceptional example, but generally the logic applies. I have a level I want to buy. Market like really overextends through it, or even just overextends through it, and then closes some way above it. There's a sort of complacency that tends to creep into the market, where you kind of just buy the candlestick close above the level and expect to have a nice day, whereas it often retraces a lot of that wick back into structure, and that's usually where I like to trade. So not away from the level, but usually at the level pretty much. So if Duck's got it perfectly right there, exactly. Yeah. If it wants to refill some of that into a level that I can actually play, I'll take that bounce. Otherwise, where it is right now, kind of neither here nor there in terms of the levels that I've got. I'm just gonna chill and wait. I bought a bit of spot, managed a few positions today, some better than others, but definitely going to take a bit of a breather for now.
You're being humble again. I mean, Cred just bought the low basically and mooned it, but
he's LARPing for me. Ignore him.
But yeah, I kind of agree. I think like right here, it's pretty difficult to play, right? Because I mean, in terms of any kind of structure, you'd have to go all the way back down to the hourly, and then I mean, if anything, maybe this, but still, that's a reach, I think. Given, I mean, it's already done its job, but I think that's a reach. So, I mean, we've had daily support. Anyone that bought it and didn't liquidate it on the wick below, that stuff happens, right? It's always the worst thing that can happen when I watch people trade, when they're like, oh, they have like a really good support level, and then put their bids there and just leverage it up to who knows where, and then it kind of goes all the way, stops them out perfectly, and then plays out the way they want it to. So I mean, yeah, I just hope no one got wrecked below the box, because that'd be a shitty kind of sell below the box, I think.
Yeah, there's there's a tweet that I wanted to share, and it's from. Let me pull it up. Sorry. Here we go. Ki Young Ju, I think is how you say his name.
The crypto quant guy.
Yeah, he's been all over. Can y'all see this properly? Or did I blank out the screen just now?
No, I got you. We got you.
Okay. I don't know if the stream can see it.
Yeah.
The stream can't.
No, the stream
my
can't
bad.
see it. Somebody else pull it up.
Looking at the Zoom thing.
Yeah. Somebody else pull it up, or I'll pull in a different browser. But either way, he's been looking at the what's it called? The Coinbase premium versus derivatives very frequently. Here we go. I just pulled it in the stream a different way. So he said that the Coinbase premium hit an all-time low, minus 1,020, and then skyrocketed to plus 486. So, like that derivatives led move down. Well, it wasn't derivatives led, right? Because like Coinbase led the way down, but then they bought the crap out of the dip. So basically, his conclusion was that Coinbase whales are accumulating 44 to 48. I don't know. It's just a really weird type of move, don't you think? Like something screwy there.
It happened at 9:15 EST ish. Started at 8:30 EST maybe.
Yeah.
So it's like definitely a U.S. Open type move. Yeah, it's odd that we've done as much as we did, as quickly as we did, but it's not like unusual for BTC to do that.
The same guy has been talking about the derivatives-led moves that have been common over the weekends, where derivatives-only exchanges get $200 or $300 above spot and cash exchanges, and then those just tend to fully retrace. So I thought that's kind of maybe what happened here, but it's weird that the premium hit that low of negative 1,000. It seems like at least someone on Coinbase decided it was time to go down, but then maybe there was different buyers to step in. But the cash to derivatives relationship is one I really want to follow, but I don't quite understand like what this one means yet.
Yeah, I mean, maybe someone tried to liquidate someone, but that would be pretty expensive to do. Like,
especially from Coinbase.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, remember when we first busted above 6K and the Bitstamp push down, where Bitstamp was only one of two exchanges to index BitMEX, and like there was, essentially the thought that was some kind of coordinated sell-off in order for people to fill on derivatives. It seems like it'd be a lot harder to do on Coinbase, though.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's just the market's just kind of been dictated by like these few individuals, right? So, I mean, wouldn't be surprised if just someone decided to sell basically and get out relatively quickly. I mean, stuff happens, right? And we've had a lot of, Bitcoin went from next to nothing to 50, 60K. So, I mean, if you're a large holder and you want to sell some, don't feel like doing it in an orderly fashion. I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah. And if one of y'all wants to pull up your screen share, I can switch between them easily now. On the grand scale of things, though, like I look at where we are on a weekly, like this looks, it looks extraordinarily healthy, like as a intra-week, beginning of the week type of pull down. If we go green, it'll just look enormously bullish, right? Like everything just got freaking immediately absorbed. And after three straight candles where there was really no backfilling of the prior candles, this one almost fully engulfed the previous candle, and now we're just off we go again. Like you can kind of see how to justify any potential price action here, which leads me to kind of agree with where Cred was coming from. It's like I don't really know where to go from here. Like it's in no man's land at this point.
Yeah, I mean it's been in no man's like it's whenever you have these kind of moves above all-time high, right? You're just always trading on the high time frames. At least you're always trading in no man's land. So it's kind of on the high time frames. It's kind of tough to say, okay, this is bullish or bearish, because I mean, yeah, it's bullish. It's going to be bullish even if we go to 38K, right? If you're looking at that chart that you just have up, I mean, that'd just be a support retest,
Yeah,
right? I mean, that's the nearest support that we have, and it's basically a 40% pullback, I think. So on the higher time frames, I've had the issue that, I mean, you're just not getting any pullbacks whatsoever. And it's still, in my opinion, nothing would change even if we went to 40K.
And is that a question y'all are getting, Cred and Don, in your streams and stuff? Like, how do we know when to take profit, when it's over? How do you identify tops? It's pretty hard to tell people like exactly when, because like you said, that 40% dump down to 38 looks perfectly healthy on that broad time frame.
Yeah, I mean, taking profits is always something I think that everyone should be like looking at themselves. I think it's pretty, when you're like, okay, you should be selling now, I think you're kind of overreaching. In my opinion, I used to kind of tell everyone what to do, and I've done that for years back in 17, 18, 19. I don't think it's worth it, really. I don't like to do it anymore, because, I mean, no matter what happens, people are going to be unhappy about it, right? You could be saying, okay, sell now. It dips to 40K and then goes to 100K, and people are going to miss out because they sold now and never rebought. I find it pretty tough. But in general, like, getting the top right is, in my opinion, it's rarely going to happen, right? I mean, I can share the screen.
Yeah, please do. I'm trying to not screw things up here.
Like, if you're looking at this, right, you're getting a pullback to down here, right?
Yeah, hold on a second. I screwed up all my stuff.
Don't worry about it. But yeah, let's say you're getting a pullback back to weekly support, right? And then you're bouncing, and then actually start breaking down below it. Then I'd say, like, high time frame wise, okay, that rally might be coming to an end. That could happen from here, like from 50K. That could happen from 100K, whatever. I think, like, the moment we start breaking weekly structure, it's probably gonna be where the bull run part of the move, or at least the majority of the move, has already played out, and you're just gonna get like the last 50%, 40% to the downside, if that's even gonna happen. Like, who knows how this is gonna play out now, right? Given that we have so many large players in the game now. So yeah. I don't know. It's a personal kind of thing. I think everyone should be like taking profits to like their plan, because in this kind of market, it's almost impossible to guess where it's going to be, in my opinion. But,
Fred, what thoughts do you have on that? Trying to identify like when is it game over?
I don't know. I don't ultimately think it's productive for people to think that way, because the chances are you're not going to catch it anyway. And if it's a parabolic thing, then the last leg or couple of weeks are the last, but also tend to be the most profitable and extreme as well. So I think you have to just almost make an informed decision. Like, am I going to sell on the way up, and the cost to pay for that is potentially missing out on some of the strongest weeks? Or am I going to exit on the way down with the cost of that being a huge haircut compared to your all-time high? I think as long as you can do one of those, you're better off than most people who just don't have a plan at all when it comes to taking profits or whatever. But having some sort of framework in mind is better. I generally tend to think that looking for a top is a distraction for the most part, because you're inevitably going to take a haircut, right? Like, from your all-time high, it's almost certain that you're going to take some sort of loss in portfolio or whatever, UPNL. from its highest point, right? So the question is, what can you do between now and that point where you inevitably take a 20, 40, 50% haircut? So I don't know. My focus, I think, is I try to steer people more towards kind of what's going on right now, not to play scared and to, trade what's in front of them. And when, if, whatever the top comes, either you've been selling on the way up, then fine, or you have an exit strategy, which hopefully triggers and lets you get out without a massive, massive haircut. I think I generally lean towards the former of selling on the way up.
Yeah.
Because you can always get back in if new structure forms and it keeps being bullish. That's cool. But there's no guarantee that you'll be able to, orderly exit on the way out. It could just be one weekly candle or one daily candle or just something which just completely rips a hole in your plans. And then suddenly it's 30% lower from where you wanted to exit. Now it seems like it's at support. So like, oh, well, I don't want to sell support. Then it goes down another 20%. All kinds of stupid stuff tends to happen at that point. So I think you're more in control on the way up than on the way down for the most part. So that tends to be where I
psychologically
kind
I
of pay
feel like
attention.
it makes more sense too, doesn't it? Because
I think so.
yeah, you're happy with a certain profit taking, or else you wouldn't be taking it on the way up, and you can take some of that out of the game. Use for life or whatever investment, alternative investments that you have in mind, or if you start to just build up cash reserves, then when a dip comes, even if it's higher than where you took it out, when you get the more obvious dip to buy, you can redeploy it and be perfectly pleased with it, so that your max drawdown is going to be significantly less, even if you're like not absolutely nailing the dead top.
I like it. Now that I have actually screenshots, easier to kind of say what I want to say.
Yeah, please.
So like looking at the weekly, right? I think as long as this holds, still fine. Below there, I start being. I think the market would kind of be in trouble. If anything, you kind of start getting something sideways here or something. So you could either just wait for that, which would be a massive haircut, yeah, or you can just play the daily, which has been pretty nice, right? And just let's say this is the obvious kind of part that has to hold, right? Let's say this breaks 52K. You start hedging your position. Mm-hmm. It goes down, whatever, you kind of play it into the weekly support, close there. If that fails, you kind of re-hedge and play it that way. So it's not like, okay, I'm selling the top and then I'm just going to stay in position and it's going to go 80% down and then can reposition. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't remember anyone really doing that in 17, where it's just been like, okay, I sold the top with 100% of my portfolio. Like if anything, and I remember myself back then too, like you hedge and you're scrambling for any sort of hedge that you can position yourself in. And then you kind of try to use that as an intermediate between actually selling spot and actually selling everything that you can sell or want to sell. But yeah, I think that's kind of the best way to play it. I think on this entire way up, you haven't had a major exit signal besides, I think, this one where we actually broke support. And then you just reposition yourself the moment it actually gets reclaimed. And that's the same thing here, right? We lose this, in my opinion. The moment we reclaim it, it's probably just going to mega moon. And then you can just reposition yourself, right? And I think as long as we're trading below 50, 51, 52, I'd have trouble being full exposed, and then just go from there. So just use a little bit of both, because like I said, the weekly time frames, it's going to be bullish till you've lost 50% of your balance basically.
And even when we just had that move to below 30K, like we got a very clear daily lower high as well. So it was like that could be your complacency bounce, risk off there, wait for the reclaim. And honestly, you're still buying back lower than you sold if you sell the confirmed daily. Yep. If you sell that confirmed daily, lower high, and then you just wait, you could buy back the thin green line there, or when it capitulates down 29K, reclaim the next one. Like whenever it reclaims one of those levels, you can always get back in. And in that scenario, you ended up getting back in at a better price than. Even though you waited like for daily candle structure or whatever to like give you some hints of what to do, you still lowered your price basis.
Yep.
And we can do that again here.
Sorry, Brian. I'm just saying, it reminds me of, if I could go back in time and have someone tell me that a lower entry isn't always a better entry for the long side,
yes.
I'd be extremely grateful for that advice. There's this idea, I think it comes from, psychologically it's nice also to flex that you sniped XYZ, it looks nice, etc. But some of the best entries aren't the lowest entries on the long side. Bitcoin 6K is like one of the best examples. The 6K plus buyers did a way better job than the 3-4K buyers. I would imagine, certainly true from like anecdotal experience, because those 6K buyers, they're like buying strength on the biggest reclaimed, blah, 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 huge level. Whereas if you're buying at 3-4K, maybe you were underwater for like weeks and then you're selling a 2X, which looks like the bearish retest of the century, right?
Right.
So there's always a trade-off when it comes to lower isn't always better. It's like, well, what am I actually buying that matters? So I think that bit of context could also be helpful. And that's why selling on the way up also makes sense, because then if you want to re-enter a reclaim, you've actually got something to use for those purposes or to position yourself,
Yeah, and that's true whether the cycle's done or not, right?
Yeah.
It could be within the cycle. It's not just like, okay, game over. Like you can always use price action and what the chart's telling you to make those decisions. So that gets to your point earlier, Craig, about like it's not particularly productive to say like, are we done? You just trade it as you go along.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, that's why it's so difficult to kind of just give a blanket answer to, okay, when is it gonna be over? Because I mean you can't, right? I think if this goes to like straight 100K in one candle, I mean it's gonna be hard to say, okay, that's the top, right? Because I mean this chart could do anything on the upside, and you'd be none the wiser for, okay, this is going to be top, because obviously top is going to look the best, right? If you're thinking about it, like at 20K, just from a chart wise perspective, right? I mean, this didn't look so terrible. I mean, you can even do it like this. I mean, this didn't really give you much of a hint in the way that it had topped. In my opinion, like according to my kind of system anyway, the moment it started breaking down, that's where you actually got the confirmation.
That one of the things too that I remember, and I think it trapped a lot of people, is everybody was like, no, when it's the real top, it'll be this gigantic, ungodly blow off. And on a daily basis, it doesn't look like a blow off, right? You never, and in fact, you had it on the first leg. Before that, you could probably call that a divergent leg or something. The blow off looks earlier. Like no one would have looked at that final candle and said, oh yeah, that's clearly a daily blow off. But when you showed it on like maybe a monthly or something like that, it was clear. Yeah, look at
that. Seems to think we're all calling for the top by discussing price.
No, yeah, and for the chat's reference, we're not calling for that. But this is the most common question I'm getting now is like, how do we know it's the top? Because, they look at something like that, a linear monthly chart, and it's like, oh, man. Is this where I'm supposed to DCA in?
Just on a random note, I was particularly, I had a funny time on Twitter, as I do on most days. I was scrolling through, and Binance, around an hour ago, or a couple of hours ago, whatever, made this tweet during the nuke, basically, made a tweet saying, keep your risk under control, and showing this whole little stop loss animation or whatever, which to me is hilarious, right? How you can default 20x leverage on your futures platform, and under the leverage tab to say that leverage is a tool to increase your profits, and then show zero wallet balances like half the fucking time. And with all that being in place, have the keep your risk under control tweet while the market's down with like the highest liquidations coming from Binance. It's always quite fun to juxtapose those two things.
I made a tweet about that this morning. Don, if you could cancel your share, I've got my screen up, and Josh is going to share something. I tweeted this morning the same type of sentiment, Cred, and what I found amazing in the responses is how many people said that they just had like accidental 20x positions at times, and
it's the default. It's literally the default.
Yeah,
it's on
and it's like,
it's insane.
Honestly, I really want to call out like Binance and CZ, if they want to protect their users, no one on earth should be using 20x leverage. Like the best traders I know, small or large, they're not using 20x leverage, and whatever tooling that you want, at least marketing, and it's fleecing those users, and they need to be making it a more educational experience versus that stupid red candle should have used a stop loss bro type of thing. Like, pisses me off. Like, it's getting retail out of the space because it's retail who's using that leverage. Josh, what do you have here?
I think
you're muted.
Josh is muted?
Muted,
I can't hear him.
My bad. I said
Hello.
wrong tab. Yeah. So I was just going to add to that. BitMEX is the same way. The 100x, 200x, 500x, 10,000x, whatever, 996. Any leverage platform that does any of that, it's obviously for advertising. And the people who are getting wrecked are people who don't know better than new people. This is like a tale as old as time, right? The average leverage on BitMEX is 8x, and that's average. So yeah, of course nobody should be using 20x. Like, give me a break, Binance.
They even have a freaking tune on it. I don't know if y'all heard that. The chat probably did. It's like, oh, no stop loss, bro. Unlimited downside. Hey, what kind of freaking tweet is this?
Yes.
It's just so tone deaf. I don't know, man. It's look up the liquidation data and just compare it to what you're
4 billion. 4 billion. Today.
Yeah, I mean, people lost their. I retweet the same thing every time. It's like, in the biggest bull market ever, and you lost your entire account. Like, how do you say that to yourself? How do you say it, like, if you have a family or a spouse? Like, it's just wrong. It's morally bankrupt.
Well, look at the mindset of GME and AMC. It's the same thing. Like, this is never not going to happen, as sad as it is. It's just human nature, right? People see other people doing stuff, they FOMO in, they're not in the party, they get in late, they go all in, they don't know what they're doing, and then they get wrecked. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Right in the chat, we've got Menace saying, I was new to this 12 months ago. I went with 20x at the start because it was default and doesn't display the warning when you go above, so I felt safer at 20x. They just didn't know. And I mean, honestly, the typical customer that's hopping on to a Binance type of place is like, they don't know. And you send them to 20x, like a 5% move, and you're done. And it's 20x and it's cross from the get-go.
Yeah, it's just...
Is it cross from the get-go?
Yeah, I think so. That's what my replies said.
I mean, the worst part about it all is when you're like, even with the issue of, okay, they have that as like the default with 20x. I mean, tweeting that while the exchange is starting to kind of freeze up and it's not really working. I mean, even if you bought like during the dump, right? And then the exchange stops working properly and you get liquidated because you can't put in a stop loss or something. I mean, it's the worst thing you could tweet. I don't understand. I mean, but then again, it's just the media machine that is Binance. They kind of try to be approachable in that sense, where they just tweet like an influencer.
Well, I mean, I give them a lot of credit for what they've built, but I also want I feel like they need to be better, And I'm happy to give them that shout out. Hey, Josh, why don't you show us what you're thinking from a more like trend following perspective or whatever you wanted to highlight on the ETH chart, and then we'll dig into kind of what we want to watch the rest of the week before we go.
Yeah. You guys are talking about picking tops and all this stuff. You can always look at on-chain stuff, and you can always look at tech. So that's just what I do all the time anyway. But on 1:34 a.m. yesterday, so 2 days ago, whatever, I had this grand tweet storm plan. It was like, who cares, right? This doesn't matter. It's just for clout. I didn't sell any ETH anyway, but I was going through the list for ETH because my intuition just felt like we were about to get wrecked, and who cares, right? But so as far as on-chain stuff for ETH, let me just run through this list real quick. Fees obviously killing DeFi everything. If you're ignoring fees, then you have your head in the sand as far as what it's doing to ETH right now, or did to ETH. ETH DeFi TVL is stagnant. If you check that on DeFi Pulse or DeBank, you can look at that. And you can just categorize these as bullish or bearish or neutral, but this can all inform where you think you're at in the cycle, right? ETH 2.0 contract is a steady rise in deposits. which is bullish. ETH exchange reserves were declining, which is bullish, although it depends on how you measure that. ETH holdings were rising, which was bullish. EIP 1559 dev call is this week, which may or may not get deployed sometime this year. Let's be realistic. And at the end of the day, is that going to move the needle for fees? Probably not. So, I don't even know how bullish that is in the grand scheme of things. So looking at the tech, though, we had rising wedge. Okay, we can argue till we're blue in the face if that's bullish or bearish. We had a bear div on volume, which was obvious. Let me just add this is Stamp, but you have rising prices lower on lower volume. So that's a bear div. Daily TKC clamp on the cloud here. We were nearing overbought on the 1 year MA multiplier at 2200. I don't know what this is at now. Yeah, it's still 2200 on this red line here. Yearly pivot was very close to that as well. And when you're divvying into a pivot, that's usually a sign that we're ready for some pullback.
Especially with that lower volume.
If you look at the 1.6, yeah, especially with the lower volume. I mean, you can argue like RSI is whatever, but it was definitely a bear div on volume. If you look at the 1618 on the high to low, let me just pull this up real quick too. So you go to we'll go 2018 low. That was also 2200. So again, if we're divvying into like a confluence of stuff, that's an issue. We're outside of the 2019 pitchfork. I'm not gonna draw that, but we were way above that. We were 2.23x above the 200-day moving average, and there's CME rollover this week. Probably not for the ETH contract. I'm not really sure, but all in all, we were due for some shenanigans. So the tech was overwhelmingly bearish in my mind leading into this, especially for ETH. It just looked like it was done. And that from that perspective. But as far as the trend is concerned, I agree with what everyone's saying. Like, we're totally fine, and we can continue to drop a pretty significant amount. I think even on the cloud, we can go to, what level is this? 1328, and on like the weekly, we're looking at 1065, and we're still fine. So it depends on how aggressive you want to be. Do you want to buy the daily Tenkin, which some people did and got wrecked today, which is kind of what you guys were talking about with the levels, buying certain daily levels. Although I don't really see anything that pops up to me here on ETH other than this, whatever this is, 1400 or a little less than 1400, which is basically the Tenkin, or the Kijun, sorry. So you're buying your MA levels or whatever, or you're not, depending how aggressive you want to be, or you're just waiting for the weekly and you're just riding this out at 1065.
Gosh, that weekly looks so extended on that view.
Yeah, but I mean, it looked problematic a couple times on the way up, and it just didn't matter, right? Like even this candle, we just kept buying it. We had all sorts of bearish candlesticks all the way up, and it didn't matter. So as long as Barry's still buying, and as long as people don't care, it depends how this is viewed today. I think from the institutional side, if people are like, yes, I'm going to get in, it's a dip, so something I can wrap my hands around. If people are excited, about this, we always say like, this is bullish for Bitcoin, this is bullish for ETH, this is good for Bitcoin. It's true. I said this the other day. I said the slower the rally, the more sustainable the rally. Basically, the rally needs a black swan type thing to prevent it from killing itself. So it's hard to be like mega bearish on all this stuff, even with the move we had today, because this is what you expect. This is what needs to happen when you get these insane parabolic rallies on the way up. So
yeah, there's a couple other things that I want to highlight. One is that Legacy had a small gap down that it's kind of fighting back against, and then also the VIX. This is something Josh and I have talked about. Like, Bitcoin historically has bottomed with large VIX spikes, but the VIX not exactly like telling you to be freaked out. It's just kind of above the new normal type of range, like ever since COVID stuff happened. But there was some degree of selling in Legacy this morning that's now being contained a bit. Another thing that I found interesting was that gold is finally catching a bid. So I don't really know what to make of that, but it's there, like Bitcoin's
Gold up, Bitcoin down.
yeah, gold up, Bitcoin down. I find fascinating, which I wasn't even paying attention to that until I was looking through my normal watch list, and like gold miner stuff that's been consolidating forever is kind of at the top end of its downtrending consolidation range, and at the same time, a lot of growth stocks and stuff have are struggling. Like the Qs are down 1.75% today, whereas like the S&P is only down 0.5%, and the Russell is up just a tad. So it makes me think there's some rotation game going on here, and also like all of FANG stocks are like really heavy. There's some fundamental narratives there that I personally believe in. And I wonder if that's impacting kind of the high flying, Bitcoin risk on type of narrative. I'm not sure. It's just something that I want to watch. And the most important legacy correlation that I watch with Bitcoin is what's the dollar doing, and the Dixie's just, it looks like it's losing every level, like failing. It attempted reversal multiple times. It looks like it just continues to fail it. All of this mostly makes me think that maybe there were some hiccups due to legacy markets and, too much open interest in Bitcoin and rolling over, futures or like, some of these types of things. But on the macro narrative, it doesn't really change much of anything for me. I maintain my macro bullish lens, and this feels like a dip worth buying at some point. Despite being in kind of no man's land for the moment. It doesn't mean you have to go buy it right this second, but I want to see weekly closes that confirm a more, bearish sentiment. And it's only Monday,
It's only 11:50 a.m. EST.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dixie was the sole reason why I didn't sell all of my ETH 2 days ago, because
It just looks so bad.
It looks so bearish. It looks ready for new lows. The other thing that I didn't mention, the U.S. stimulus, is that priced in? Isn't it priced in? I don't know, but
everybody's about to get
Dixie-
$1,400, and where are they going to send it? They're going to send it straight to friggin' Robinhood or whatever.
Dixie just looks wrecked. Something else I'll mention is OI. We keep talking about on an exchange I won't name. OI hit like 2.5 billion, which historically is massive for that specific exchange. It's sitting at 1.75 billion right now. So it's not like that exchange even took a big of a hit, although I don't necessarily believe a lot of that is even real. Funding is still high. Deribit funding, BitMEX funding, all that is still extremely high. Longs paying shorts still. So, it's going to be a bumpy ride in the near term, definitely.
Yeah, a couple more sentiment things that I noticed.
I mean, the laser eyes, which we haven't mentioned.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, I think there's the laser eyes. There was, people going absolutely ham on like anything on BSC. So it's like the pump chase going from Ethereum being too expensive and like immediately going over to BSC because there were moves over there. And the price of BNB as a result going from 135 to 330 in 3 days. Like as Josh and I were recording on Friday, 193 to 330 in a single daily candle. It's just kind of absurd in my mind.
If you're looking for a parabolic leg on something, there it is.
Yeah, and that stuff scares me alongside like.
But don't you think? Sorry for interjecting. Don't you think that that has something to do with the Coinbase IPO trading so high?
Yes. Coinbase IPOs. What was it trading, Don? Like 100 billion valuation?
I don't have it in my head, but I just know that it was quite a bit higher than I expected. So, I mean, it's hard to kind of expect where it's going to trade, but I just know like that kind of traded up a lot, and then you immediately had the kind of all the exchange coins, BNB, FTT, even like obscure ones, just go completely through the roof. So I'm not entirely sure if it's just because of the DeFi move towards BNB or like in general to Binance-centric stuff, but I think it's just in general.
I think it's a combination. Stuff. Like need to go on BSC, you have to have BNB. So like some people were probably just buying it so that they could go ape into some random crap on on BSC chain. and it didn't hurt that they were up like some ungodly amount just on the BNB.
True.
Uni also, I heard this was rumors of 3.0, or maybe it was part of the Coinbase stuff too. I don't know. Like it went 40% in a day. And then finally, like the NFT stuff just blasting off, the floor on punks and some of that stuff is just super high. All of that just strikes me as enormous amounts of froth in the market that should be telling me to, at least if anything else, like maybe get a little more liquid so that if I need to make an adjustment, I can. Yeah, and that's just the sentiment stuff. It has nothing to do with the chart. And I know that's not always very valuable, but sometimes it helps influence like what's your gut feel,
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. It's kind of getting crazy. I mean, we've seen like celebrities trade NFTs. We've seen Logan Paul launch NFTs where how much did he make again? 3 million?
3 million, like immediately.
Yeah, so it's like that kind of stuff does remind me of the craziness that was the ICO kind of rally in 18.
Yeah, I mean, Kobe and I are freaking having KSI on our podcast on Thursday, so.
You see him post I've got a screenshot. He deleted the tweet. He longed DOT on Binance Futures, and the tweet was something like, "This is my first time using futures. Can someone tell me if this is okay or not?" Or
something like KSI did?
Yeah. He obviously deleted the tweet, but it might be worth kind of
asking him.
He shorted DOT? I don't know. He shorted DOT. What a legend. But either way, maybe before things turn sour, have a quick kind of, at least tell him the default Binance Futures leverage options aren't the most useful.
The trade was 20x as far as I saw, right?
Yeah, probably so.
The trade that he took was 20x, yeah.
Either way, I don't think, maybe just have a chat about default settings when he comes on futures. Because he's rich as fuck, right? He doesn't really need to use leverage. As cynical or facetious as that sounds, it's kind of true. Like Kobe said, like leverage for poor people when he was like trolling, ratioing me as usual. And I was like, well, that's funny. And then I thought about it, I'm like, wait, he's actually 100% correct. Right?
Yeah.
So, maybe a good time to bring that up.
All right, let's wrap it up with things you want to watch this week. If everybody has, one thing on your mind, and if maybe Josh, you want to drive for us, or I can drive.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking for we already have a bounce a few hours later for BTC. Like, if you're worried or concerned or you got wrecked, hopefully this is a lesson. Like Don was saying earlier, if we break the lows, then it's probably game over for the near term. But, it's going to take some epic selling to follow through on those lows. We did have a massive miner inflow to some exchange. I forget which one. Maybe it was Coinbase. I don't know. But anytime you have a natural seller, quote unquote, just, selling, this is part of the game, folks. Whales moving stuff around. It's a tale as old as time. When you have a bunch of rich miners looking to sell, this is what happens,
And their cost, this is another thing that we talked about on Friday, their cost to mine is still extraordinarily low. So if they want to sell, I don't know, $100 million worth of coin, like, do they really care if they slip the market 5% or 10, or like create a cascade? Probably not.
No, and I think ETH is just in trouble in general with fees, because once again, you're just giving miners more money, and if you give them more and more money, eventually they're going to say, you know what, I don't want all this ETH anymore. I'm just going to sell it, right? Especially on days like today, people who are mostly miners and not traders, they're going to panic. They're going to sell, right? Yeah. You're just going to see waves and waves of selling. With each block confirmation, right? Because that's how it is.
Let's narrow that down to what's the one thing you want to watch on the week? Is it whether we revisit the lows or what?
Yeah, I guess that's the biggest thing. If we break lows, then I'm concerned. Otherwise, this is all just fair game, right?
Yeah.
I already said we're in the bottom of the seventh inning. Baseball metaphor just means we're nearing the end. I agree with Cred that the last leg is the most profitable. We can 2x from here. Other people were saying this about MVRV, another on-chain thing. MVRV is high. UTXO percentages show we're topping out. Like, there's all types of reasons why we're getting close, but at the same time, we're not there yet.
Cred, what are you watching for the rest of the week?
Similar stuff with regard to Bitcoin, so I won't echo those thoughts. I mean, I did disagree. As for something different, I mean, I can screen share real quick.
Yep. Josh, you just have to turn yours off.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just make sure I got the right thing. Okay. Right, I think this is it, but God help me.
I'm on mine right now, so you're safe.
Do you see my charts?
Yep.
Okay,
You're live.
That's good. Sam coins go up. That's kind of it. I know this is, as the Duck mentioned, probably a beneficiary of exchange tokens doing well, but I mean FTT just goes up a lot, and also Sam has the majority of his net worth in FTT, which is an amazing fact, which he, I think, mentioned in one of his interviews with the magazine or something rather. Anyway, if this wants to keep going up, I kind of want to join it. So if we get this market-wide bounce and continuation, there's like a rough area in FTT in the low 30s. Depends exactly how you want to draw it. Maybe something like this, the low 30s, 31, 32. I think if it gets anywhere above that, you've got a target at least to the top of the range. But to be honest, trend continuation at that point would be what would be my target. So FTT, any reclaim through low 30s, I'll probably look to buy some and hold while Sam gets rich, and I can maybe ride on his coattails.
Yeah, riding others. I mean, why not? That's like the best thing. All right, Don, you want to pull something up and let us know?
I'll just say that M double top on FTT looks gross, but yeah, I agree. I like continuation for all the exchange coins as long as people are still trading.
It's funny because I also have like an exchange
More
coin.
exchange coins.
I didn't even see that.
That's insane! Holy shit!
Yeah, I've been getting into Leo for a while. The funny thing is, like, I was debating whether to get into it or not, and then I wanted to ask Loom about it, and we pretty much at the same time wrote each other and were like, "Dude, look at Leo."
Why didn't you tell me shit? What's going on here?
He's sharing all his alpha with Loomdart.
Ridiculous, man.
Yeah, but that was the one that I picked. It was pretty lucky because it actually went up during the sell-off. So I've just been chilling. Leo, it's been going up. So pretty good on that front. I like it just based on the fact that it just pretty much broke the only resistance that it has. I mean, you could argue that there's some sort of resistance here, but then again, like this has never rallied before, right? So I just wanted to give it a punt. It moves really slowly, so it's pretty nice to just kind of be able to have something that is not moving according to the market, because this is, I mean, you can see that that's just not doing anything in comparison to what Bitcoin is doing, right? Bitcoin's been moving a lot, and this just in a world of its own. So that's why I've been interested in it. So that's what I'm looking on for the altcoins. One of the, I mean, it's a smaller position, but still the position that I have. And then with Bitcoin, same story. As we've talked before, as long as this daily holds, I'm fine with expecting up. If it does break, I'm gonna be looking for some safety. And then as long as we're trading below there. So if we trade below here, I'd be worried. And if it reclaims, I think then it's moon time. That's basically it.
Nice. And I'll bring up something a little different, which is I really want to see what a blue chip DeFi things do, and in particular relative to Bitcoin. So this is an Aave chart that I've been watching for a long time. I'm on the daily here, but it's down 50% off like the top wick that it made at the beginning of February, which was really when DeFi stuff rotated into lower cap DeFi, and the Aaves of the world just kind of started chilling. But Bitcoin was moving at the time, so down 50%. However, this yellow line at 0.0067 or whatever is a weekly high from in the fall, like the DeFi summer. So this is just a level that I want to watch. And I know like not many people are looking at DeFi relative to Bitcoin, but I still think naturally people will have this opportunity cost in their head of like, should I be in blue chip DeFi? Should I be in ETH? Should I be in Bitcoin? And with the 50% drawdown relative to Bitcoin right into this prior weekly level, I'm actually kind of bullish on blue chip DeFi again, whereas I wasn't for the last few weeks. This all still seems like an extraordinarily healthy market to me and an uptrend. However, it doesn't mean that I don't think we can go down further. I'm really curious to see if we can like put some kind of price action in here this week that makes it look as if maybe DeFi has another leg up, which is hard to believe when you compare it to like what the like the dollar chart looks nearly broken to me. You know, like I've got all these levels that I've pointed out over time, and it looks nearly broken. Like even I love looking at these like fast 20-day moving averages. All the prior dips, like they wicked so hard off of that, and then we just kind of like tucked ourselves underneath it, and now we're breaking it. So when I compare these two, the the Aave dollar chart looks extraordinarily bad. The Aave Bitcoin chart looks like it could be on supports. I want to see how that resolves over the next few days to help me establish what my narrative is going to be over maybe like the coming month or so. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. And I'm using Aave as my stand-in versus a blend. Maybe that's not the right way to do it, but it seems to be, in my mind, the market leader as a combination of like fast moving. And also like, industrious, like they're doing a lot of stuff, and just not a nice representation of DeFi and blue chips. So that's what I'm watching. Does anybody have anything? Yeah, go ahead.
I like that. If it gets some confidence, like let's say this weekly close is above like 420, the level that you have, then you have like a relatively good looking, I mean, it's still looking rough, but I mean, it's at support then. On the dollar chart, and then you have support on the Bitcoin chart as well. I like those the most when you have like confidence between the two. So yeah, I dig that.
That was my thought as well, and I was right for a day because I bought this around 400, or maybe I don't remember what exact price I got. And over the weekend it went to like $500, and I got caught a little backwards on it today. I just want to see like how does this start to resolve. This would give me a lot more insights on how to address this DeFi market, like whether these ETH fees and stuff are going to be truly problematic, or if this is just short-term stuff. All right, I think that's it. We're going to leave it. We are almost at an hour. Hey, we really appreciate y'all being here. If you want to go to weeklyopen.com, this video will show up on the YouTube channel so that you can see the replays each Monday, and we're going to have an audio feed up here really shortly as well. And please don't forget to check out Blockfolio. Go to weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio where you can trade today. In addition to tracking your portfolio, they've always done that really well, and now you can trade and zero fees and can do direct swaps one thing to the other. You don't even have to go like back and forth to USD or whatever, which is a problem sometimes on centralized exchanges, and I really like it. Powered by FTX's books, getting more liquid all the time. Good stuff. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you later. See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.